What up? It's Tom from Cannabis Legalization News, where we explain the marijuana laws so that you can go change them. Today, we're going to be talking about Maine's corrupt cannabis industry and the big news out of Germany, and Miggy and I go do a Thanksgiving Day draft. Let us know in the comments what you think about it and whose dinner you would attend, my dinner or Miggy's dinner. And while you're there, drop us a like, click subscribe, because very often, as you are aware, this is for 18 plus only. And now let's get to the news.
What's up, dude?
I can't believe that Germany is legalizing cannabis, and we had Law by Lido on. That was great. So if you want to hear about Germany legalizing cannabis, go check out our episode with Lido on, where we talk all about German cannabis. But the big news of the week is a major European country legalizing it.
Well, and again, when we talked about it with Lido, it's loving their process. It's not just one state. It's not just a portion, not east-west. It's all of Germany. Party leaders in Germany, incoming government coalition, have reached an agreement to legalize marijuana nationwide. Thank you, Marijuana Moment.
From the Marijuana Moment, nationwide legalization. As it stands, personal possession of marijuana is already decrimmed in Germany, and there is a medical cannabis program in place, and all that medical cannabis gets imported. I don't think, well, check out that Law by Lido one. He said some of it is grown there, but a lot of it's imported. And so the governing coalition is comprised of the Social Democratic Party of Germany and the Free Democratic Party and the Greens. And they said that they will be introducing the controlled distribution of cannabis to adults for recreational purposes in licensed shops, according to the translation of a multi-party working and Der Spiegel. That's the name of their paper, Der Spiegel.
Okay, so the so-called traffic light code. You know what, dude? I honestly think, this was coming. We saw this coming. If you've watched the episode of Lido, or maybe all of Germany just saw that one episode and realized, holy shit, there's a lot of money out there. We should get involved.
I don't know about that, but I'm glad that Germany is leading the. Of course, I just heard Portugal say leading. Come on, we did it first, but that's fantastic. So Europe is going to be legalizing weed pretty much as fast as the United States is legalizing weed. And the United States might take longer. I can't believe that Germany came up and legalized it before America.
Yeah, no, well, you know why? Yeah, Germany's happening faster than America.
Because they don't politicize everything.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Honestly, we can dawdle on the Germany conversation for a long time, but really, we live in America, and right now the Democrats they're dividing the gun. Again, we've been doing this a year now. This conversation 2 years with Schumer and Booker,
Yeah, they introduced their stuff almost a year ago. It was when the new Congress convened. So in February, they said soon we'll be releasing this. They did, and now there are competing bills to legalize cannabis in the United States, but still. Germany said, "Hold my beer," or "Holding meinen beers." And so, while the lawmakers have emphasized the objective of the reform is not to boost tax revenue for the country, their taxing authority said in its election manifesto that taxing cannabis like cigarettes could generate €1 billion annually. So a whole $1 billion, billion euro in tax revenue would be generated. That's not all that much when you think about it.
No, I imagine it'd be more, but the fact is, what are they basing off of? They're basing this off of whatever they have importing, right? They're basing this off their present medical market, because once recreational kicks in and there's no more fear of authorities, people are going to come out of the woodworks. People are going to not, we're talking about a place that some bad stuff happened there a long time ago, and you really can't be outspoken and be out front and do anything. That's kind of the great thing about America, except with cannabis, it's kind of weird how you're stigmatized and things can not be in your favor when, like your employment shouldn't matter. But I imagine in Germany, there's a lot of people right now, because it's been prohibition. They're not going to go to the store, not going to speak up.
Well, yeah, but speaking of that, you know who was lobbying against the legalization in Germany? Police unions. Once again, who's against the legalization? Well, law enforcement. I can't believe that law enforcement, whose jobs to a certain extent depend on marijuana being illegal, they support it keeping it illegal across the world in Germany, and very often in the United States. The police unions are some of the people, the big opponents of cannabis legalization.
You're right on that one. That's kind of a bit of irony, right? If there's any employment out there that should shut up and dribble, or it's going to be a law enforcement. They really should not have an opinion in what law should be, because law
No,
isn't essentially you're enforcing society's whims.
that's right. If you wanted to have an opinion over what the law should be, you were supposed to run for Congress, not sheriff. You know, that's kind of how it works. You're law enforcement, not law creation. You are not the legislative body. That is over there. You can run for it. You don't have to run for sheriff. You know, you don't have to run for top cop. You can run for mayor. Of course, mayors are in the executive branch. They also don't have the power to create legislation. You could run for your legislature, whether it's a House or a Senate, or in the case of Nebraska, the unicameral representatives of Nebraska.
But really, law enforcement should not have an opinion on law. Like, you know, there's things should be analytical, and things should be in a society like the it's kind of like, hey, we did the investigation on ourselves and we found ourselves nothing wrong. Like, there's a reason for checks and balances. There's a reason why when regulation, or when when legalization hits, regulation behind it, not everybody's gonna be happy. There's gonna be protocols. There's gonna be the GPA, you know, all kinds of certifications. There, you know, when you're in business in America, you pay taxes. You help support your community. There's different things that you have to do to be a law-abiding citizen. It's not I'm 17-year-old. I just got a QP. If I sell this in a week, then I can buy another one. You know, like, that's a small-minded way of thinking when it comes to legalization, because unfortunately, we all are going to have to pay taxes and have rules.
Yep. And it's not just Germany that's getting in on legalizing. In neighboring Luxembourg, the ministers of justice and homeland security last month unveiled a legalization proposal. For now, the country is focusing on legalization within the home setting, and Parliament in Luxembourg is expected to vote on the proposal in early 2022. So if either Germany or Luxembourg moves and enacts the reform to legalize cannabis, they will be the first in Europe to do so. Elsewhere in the world, Canada and Uruguay have already legalized recreational cannabis. My state, Miggy State, have already legalized it, but our country has not.
Can you imagine if Europe legalizes it before the United States, that Europe itself is going to be the most awesome place to vacation? Like, the revenue to watch from that is going to be amazing. You know, I don't think their alcohol industry is going to take a hit. You know why? Because I still drink beer.
That's right. Beer is delicious, and weed makes you thirsty. But the other thing is, I don't know if we want to go to Europe right now. Austria here is going back into lockdown. But, you know, back stateside, the Democrats put congressional action on marijuana in doubt because of the split Capitol Hill and marijuana policy, as lawmakers confronting the possibility that could again fail to pass any meaningful changes to the federal prohibition of cannabis this Congress, even though it still has another year, mostly because Congress is a 2-year term. And that's probably only like 12 to 18 months to be realistic. You're sworn in, you take the summer off, you come back, you work a little bit in the second part of the year, you come back for January, you leave by March, and then you run for re-election for the rest of the year.
Crazy. This is why we can't have nice things bumper. This is why we can't have nice things. I mean, okay, granted, we do, but because we live in good states, you know, it's kind of like, you know, living in Germany, and, you know, come next year, 4 years, and then they're going to be like, yo, I don't want to go to England. I don't want to go to UK. They still have prohibition, right? Like, I look at Idaho like that. I mean, Idaho would be a lovely place to go camping, but hell no, I don't want to go back to 1930.
Yeah.
You know,
but safe banking is being held hostage. It's held in limbo as these smaller groups of lawmakers push for this much broader bill. And now you have the Democratic version of it that has a lot of the racial equality and the expungement aspects of the cannabis industry and the war on drugs put into it to rectify those problems. And then you have the Republican version that's very, very quiet on that and has an exceedingly low tax rate. But everybody, whether Democrat or Republican, want it legalized, and they also want the safe banking passed. So hopefully safe banking gets at least passed, and then they can figure out how they're actually going to do this one way or the other so that they can legalize cannabis. And then, the cannabis laws change all the time.
The argument against safe banking about they don't want to give big cannabis an edge. It's bullshit right now, because safe banking would help both the citizen and like the pot shops. More pot shops are robbed because they're cash on hand and the product is light. Like, safe banking means safe access as well. It's infuriating, dude, that they won't just let it go. Like, the more, I just honestly, dude, every policy should just be passed through, because you can't be wrong. Like, these guys, like you said, they politicize everything. This is ridiculous.
Yep,
But
I tell you what, Republican lawmakers, they have a much narrower bill, and then the Democratic lawmakers have a much wider bill, and then the safe banking's out there saying, like, well, can we at least get the banking issue fixed? So, I mean, like, it's not going to stop. Like, them having beef over whether or not they should legalize it this way or that way isn't going to stop the actual transactions from happening that are currently happening right now. So you could make it
seriously
easier for everybody while you're figuring out which way you want to go.
Just like when people argue about, like, well, how do we incarcerate the person that's smoked too much weed and got behind the wheel of a car? Well, how are you enforcing it now? However you're enforcing it now, just keep on doing it that way, because clearly it's working, right? So but can we just stop putting people behind jail? Can we stop? There's a lot of just excess dumb shit happens because of prohibition, period.
Yeah, but again, this dichotomy between how do we legalize it, and then worry about the expungement and the social equity policies to reinvest and fix all the harms of the drug war? Or do we do it all in one fell swoop? And Cory Booker thinks you have to do it all at once, because he said to me, it wouldn't be a win. Speaking of the Republican bill that would just legalize it and tax it at a low rate and do nothing else about the expungements or social equity. And Cory Booker goes on, it would be a setback for expunging records of all the people who are waiting for some kind of justice. And unfortunately, if you do that, the pressure just won't be there to get it done. So he's worried that if you just legalize it, who's going to then pass the expungement bill?
That's the dumbest argument, because there's still people behind bars right now, right? People don't have time. Time is the most valuable thing we have, dude.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
but an expungement bill, I don't think anybody would really object to an expungement bill after it's been legalized. They'd all be like, "Oh yeah, let's clean that up." But the social equity bills, that's when people would be like, "Hey, that's unfair." Some people would say, and then the counter to that was like, "So you're calling what happened in the drug war fair?" And they would say, "Well, no, but like I wasn't doing." Really, you weren't doing anything. You just stood by, and then were the first one to try to get a cannabis license, Bob. Come on,
Well, the unfairness is already happening right now, right? We've seen it state to state, every state right now. The bullshit lotteries that are going on. I mean, the only one that we saw that was kind of fair was the blind FBI agent, ex-FBI agent.
I'm pretty sure that was an Onion article, but no, right? It happened out of Ohio. Did you hear how many Ohio applications were filed on the deadline Thursday?
Woo. No.
1,400. Do you know how many licenses there were?
No.
73. 1,400 applications for 73 licenses. Usually when I'm talking to prospective clients about getting into the game, I tell them that it's about a 10-1. Now I might have to start saying it's 20-1, baby, especially if it's a lottery, because then it becomes a mathematical statistical edge game where you're trying to buy as many tickets as possible so you can win somewhere.
Unless you're in Illinois and they use this KPI. Like, I mean, that's the other thing, right? Transparency. You need transparency in how they do these ratings. A bingo ball fucking thing. And money is the biggest transparency way you can do it.
There's that, but then like very, very strangely, like one of my clients actually won, and I just found out they won yesterday. I'm like, oh, like it was very bizarre. Like they were an alternate or something like that. So after they didn't win the first time, they won on the after the rejection period that they have. So just bizarre. Just like, wonder if they were trying to get me to not file any cases. Probably not, but I'm just congratulations to that client that won.
So now, are you going to do two businesses that you're going to be working on, helping build up?
Yeah, Dispo and Agro, and so now I have perfect winning applications on both sides of the aisle.
Oh, congratulations!
Hey, it was very bizarre, and it was just weird because I was on these email lists. It was like, hey, congratulations on getting a dispensary. I'm like, we didn't win a dispensary. We didn't buy enough tickets, and then I'm like, oh shit. Oh, I better tell the client.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. I mean, it's essentially you're buying tickets, right? Like a raffle, and then unfortunately, this is like if you have more money, you can buy more tickets, and that's
No, that is the wealthy way to think about it. If there was a different way, it'd be like you can buy 3 tickets. Something where if you're really trying to lower the barriers to entry and not have this type of, and so we don't know if we would have netted out all of these, entries like in Kittery, Maine, or in Sioux Falls, or in Ohio, or in Illinois, what the actual numbers would have been. And so,
I mean,
why don't they have those limitations where it's like, no, you get a ticket, you don't get
well,
all the tickets.
Well, I'm saying the fairness would be a limitation of one, right? Like, okay, you're one business owner, but unfortunately, you have to be a freaking conglomerate with millions of dollars of backbone and float and do things that one person can't do for the most part.
That's right. But then safe banking would be great. We found lenders that want to work with us. We found 65-35 LTVs for mortgages. You're going to be paying some juice rates. You're going to get hit $1,500 a month for having a cannabis bank account, but you can access credit. It's out there if you find it. I mean,
and that would be social equity. That would be a path to social equity too, right? Like if safe banking came about, and then people could like get loans, right? And people with a history in cannabis, like whether it be a conviction or whatever, maybe there'd be a new program for those guys. That's equity, right? I mean, it is a racially biased war that was what prohibition was started as, but in the end, you can make equity happen for everybody. We have to acknowledge one to go to the other one, I think sometimes.
Right. But then whenever you try to like start preferencing people and treating them differently before the law, even though they were treated differently before the law for decades, you're going to get constitutional claims. I understand better the ability to throw money into the areas that they were blighted. But then when you say this person must be on the type of license, I just think that that's probably going to get litigated over the next 10 years. And I don't think it's going to be found to be constitutional. I think it'll still be found to violate the 14th Amendment, or I'll learn new law. But it's the most noble violation of the 14th Amendment I've seen. I'll tell you that much.
Well, and that's the thing, right? The prohibition has enabled a lot of bad behavior, and it's not just enabling bad behavior, but it's teaching ignorance. It's enabling ignorance. I mean, how do we get better? We get better when we know when we've done dumb shit, or depending on what kind of better you want to be.
Mm-hmm. But I just don't like that they're holding up the Safe Banking Act. Senator Rand Paul was on record last week saying that he thinks Safe Banking Act would get 10 to 15 Republican votes if they brought it up on the Senate, which means that if all the Democrats voted for it and it gets 10 to 15 Republican votes, it is what do they call it? The thing where you need the 60 votes from cloture and all that, filibuster proof. It would be filibuster proof. That would be fantastic.
I was really hoping that it was going to ride this recent infrastructure bill that just passed the House, but I looked at the House and nothing cannabis, marijuana related was on the bill, which is unfortunate, but still, I mean, we'll get there. We still need money, right? I guess, apparently, or whatever.
Yep. I know, but then they push back. The people aren't saying we want relief for bankers. People are saying that people shouldn't go to jail for being arrested for marijuana. And that's true. It's not enough to pass safe banking. It's not. It would really help. It would really help out all the license holders, not just the ones that have the ability to pool their money together and then have that higher compliance cost. So in theory, the Safe Banking Act would help the mom and pop cannabis licenses more than it would help the large players. But the large players, would, of course, still be there and benefiting. What would really help it is if they pass these types of laws now, where you're restricted on how many you can own and other stuff. But then the Republicans, they don't want any regulations. We'll regulate ourselves, said the pharmaceutical industry as they're murdering everybody.
Well, I just don't get the Republicans are supposed to be the party of small business, but they aren't really. I mean, it's just, who are you kidding? But safe banking is just something that would enable, it's another brick in the house of ending prohibition, of legalization. It's another part of regulation that we have to face. And that's what, it's not helping just big corporate creepy cannabis Cory broker. It's helping the average American citizen. That's what it does. It's not. You already have your money, bro. Why don't you give other people the chance to get theirs? Like, that's what this is about. And then also, we can get people out of jail. Once safe banking happens, there's more money going into this whole industry, and maybe then more money will get funneled towards paying off the right senators.
Yeah, but Senator Schumer and Senator Booker are sitting on that bill, and they aren't going to bring it up for a vote until they figure out how they're actually going to legalize cannabis. And so, ruh-roh, they aren't even going to allow safe banking to go through on the budget reconciliation because they don't want it to go through. They want to address the whole thing. And if that's the case, oh, what do you mean? Ooh, is it something?
Is that time?
It's that time again, everybody. Or that somewhere was brought to you by Delta 9 Pods. If you are thinking about putting in an application for a micro cultivation facility in the state of New Jersey, talk to me at Cannabis Industry Lawyer online, .com or on IG about Delta 9 Pods. It's a really interesting modification that me and Tia over there have put together. We're going to have her on the show and then hopefully also have her on the mastermind so we can explain how we organized the it's not called a craft grow. I'm going to call it a craft grow because I'm used to calling them that. It's called a micro grow in New Jersey.
Oh, wow. Yep. Interesting. That'd be interesting. So we got other news. We got an insider. Marijuana use has made Zayn Malik aggressive. Did we talk about this last week?
We may have talked about this last week. I'm not sure who Zayn Malik is, but I'm assuming he used to be a singer and former One Direction member. That One Direction was a band, I believe, from Britain of boys. And because he's now only 28 and he has pleaded no contest to harassing Yolanda Haddad, the maternal grandmother of his 1-year-old daughter, Kai, whom he shares with his ex-girlfriend, supermodel Gigi Haddad. Yes, if there's anything that this man needs to blame in his life, it is cannabis. And so he admits that it helps the creative process if you're smoking good weed, and was seen smoking a joint while on tour with One Direction in South America in 2014.
Well, again, I mean, like I think I remember, like, because you had a very good point. This is just people blaming weed for a shitty human behavior. I mean, that's just, there was another article.
Which person was it? You see, they don't even name the person. They say, one insider who worked frequently with a band fondly known as 1D, One Direction, told the Post that Malik's marijuana use got so bad that it would make him paranoid and led to his former bandmate, Harry Styles, refusing to share a tour bus and private jet with him. The insider said, in the beginning, Zayn was quiet and sweet. He just became a different person. When you are smoking weed to that extent, it really affects you.
Yeah, I just, when people try to like schizophrenia and all the other shit with mental health, it's a very hot topic that you would think, like, in legal states, you would see way increase of this cases, right? Just like the accidents and I don't know, the raping and pillaging that's supposed to happen with legalization, but you don't see it in the legal states. So this is just not cause and effect, period. And again, that's why I'm glad that we went through it twice. So I have more to say on it. Huh. So, did you see the Eddie Vedder once held a flashlight for Joe Strummer while he rolled a spliff?
No, I did not. In Rolling Stone, they are reporting that Eddie Vedder from a band called Pearl Jam had recalled meeting the Clash frontman and rolling a joint with him. Actually, it was a spliff, and he held the flashlight. Well, who rolled the spliff? The Clash frontman?
Yeah, Joe Strummer.
Joe Strummer.
Yeah, I think they're going somewhere. That Pearl Jam. I think I heard of them sometime.
Yeah, this was back in November 21st of 1989, almost to the date of today. Actually, it is to the day of today because it is November 21st, 2021 when this is going out. In that year, he moved to Seattle and began playing with Pearl Jam, but he was living in San Diego in the fall, the venue called the Bacchanal, where Strummer was playing that night, and he had no idea what day was really going on to affect my life that no one, well, especially not me, could imagine. Vedder rambled. He also said that he showed up to the venue early during sound check, noting, I really appreciated sound check sometimes more than the show because that's kind of where the real work happens or the real communication between the band members. They're doing it without the eyes of the crowd. He continued to ramble. The only person who'd show up to sound checks, though, was Irons, a founding member of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who was also playing with Strummer at the time. Oh, wow. Fascinating. And so there he goes. He remembers that he was Where's the one where he's actually about the rolling of the joint? You know.
Yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. I mean, that was the headline, but
It was, but then he finally remembers toward the end of his rant, and that
There
he
it
was
is.
just holding the flashlight over Joe while he rolls the spliff, and he kind of gets the ghetto blaster going. Jack's got his bananas, and the other guys are kind of going bananas, going, Joe, I think we need to fucking bail on this shit. It's been a half hour now, and Joe didn't want to leave. He's like, I don't know, man. It's the people. They came, and we had them, and I could tell they were good. We got to give us some time. Eventually, the power did come back on, and they proceeded to play a 2-hour set that Vedder described as just incredible.
dude, it'd be
That's
surreal.
such an Eddie Vedder story that I've ever heard right there.
But can you imagine though, like just being one of those guys on the side, just seeing Eddie Vedder and Joe Strummer like rolling a joint? I mean, I would just be surreal. Like, and then what if they pass it to you? And then you're like, I'm smoking a joint with Eddie Vedder and Joe Strummer.
Yeah, in 1989, on November 21st, a great day in cannabis legalization history.
Oh shit, dude, that's pretty dope. So we got a game. We're gonna play a game.
Yes, we do. We have a game to celebrate Turkey Day, the Thanksgiving Day draft.
We do. Okay. Since we are not recording this live, we're going to play a game with ourselves. Well, you guys are going to draft some. We've got 4 subjects, and you guys are going to draft it. Okay. We've got strain family, method, after the walk outside, and infused side dish.
Yeah. Nice.
Sound good? So imagine there's music happening back here. Take it out of here.
Yeah, that's the thing. We can go get that one from YouTube, whatever we use on in the background. Okay, so Thanksgiving Day draft, strain family. Is that an indica or a sativa strain family? What do you mean by strain?
Like haze, cheeses, diesels.
Okay.
You only get one family.
I would have to pick the most hunger-inducing of all the strain families. I got a lot of food to eat.
See, I'd have to make up my own strain because you know it's funny. Even though I smoke a lot of weed, I don't know a lot about. Like I'd be like, because like I don't even know I'm fucking smoking now.
Really?
Well, I walk into the stores now. I'm just like, I'd like an indica, please. Like, because you know, I'm still waiting for test studies and all the other shit before I be like bougie about it. But what's a good blue dream though? I like, you know, I want to be awake. Maybe from joy, because be all up and active. Yeah, I go blue dream.
Cool. I'm gonna go with I don't know, white Yoda. It's
All
bred
right.
between 2 balanced
That's
hybrid
dope.
parents, Lowrider and White Russian clones. Evidently, it's supposed to make you quite hungry.
All right. Next, method. So how are you guys going to smoke this? And this is the only thing that's going to be in the house.
Oh,
You're having people over, and this is it. So.
Oh, wow.
Like blunts, joints, bongs.
Oh, for
Big
guests.
riser.
Holy crap. That's a big deal. Yeah, because you had a pipe, it would be clogging up, right?
I don't know. I got a lot of pipes, and they're pretty clean. And
You only have one.
No, you
I
can have
know,
be
multiple of them,
practical.
but just the same one.
Oh, okay.
Like only one.
Oh, okay.
So I'd probably have. I mean, they don't smoke a lot around here, these parts. So I'd probably go with pipes because then they can titrate as needed, as opposed to joints, which might get too much for some people.
I'm gonna go with
All right.
pipe too, just because I love a good pipe. If you get a personal pipe walking around, it's fucking dope.
You want to get into specifics, like a bubbler or one hitter?
Oh no, it
Like
wouldn't
a
be a
bowl?
one hitter. I think it would probably be one of those longer Sherlocks that have a fairly large chamber, so that you can share it with your friends.
Sounds nice.
Man.
Vicky?
If I could have multiple Sherlocks, that'd be dope, dude. I mean, you're talking extra bougie. Those things are expensive.
Ready
Like
for Sherlock?
We just picked
baller
one
on a
up for
budget.
$8.
I'd stick with these.
Yeah,
Really?
I don't. Yeah, I don't have them here. They're at the house. I'll bring one to the office and show it later.
Oh, cool.
Okay,
Yeah,
after the walk
sure.
outside, what's the first food you're going to go for?
Oh, I'd probably be at the dessert tray already. You know, picking at it, and then, hey, stop eating those cookies. I'm sorry. You know, just they're so good. And then I'd probably go to the actual food, potatoes or stuffing. I'm not
There you go.
I don't eat a lot of meat. You know.
Sides. Always the sides, man. I'd be stuffing.
Dessert, stuffing. And then infused side dish. This is the only infused dish that you guys are going to have. So what do you want?
Pumpkin pie. I think it would be hilarious if they had infused pies.
You got a sweet tooth, huh?
Yeah,
That's
I got
funny.
diabetes.
Don't cut your foot off, dude.
Yeah, I know.
I'll
You
go with
can use my blood for syrup.
Oh man. Oh yeah, side dishes. Ooh, I like casseroles.
Infused casserole. Okay.
Yeah. You give me anything, it'd be like bacon casserole, cheese. I don't know.
Sweet. So, Miggy, at your Thanksgiving Day, you're going to have Blue Dream, a bowl stuffing as soon as you come in, and then casserole, infused casserole.
Oh
And then
yeah.
Tom, you're going to have a bunch of white Yoda, Sherlock pipes,
Mhm.
Dessert when you come back, and then infused pumpkin pie.
Right.
So we'll see who gets more votes. Who's coming to your Thanksgiving Day first?
Oh, they're right on.
So we'll see.
Do a poll. Got it.
Got it.
And that's it.
She's so
Back to
smart,
you.
dude. With the social media shits, man.
No,
Hey.
I know that's going to be a lot of fun.
Then there's that Fear and Loathing in Maine.
Fear
Feds
and Loathing in Maine. Yep.
encroaching on state cannabis program. Wow.
Uh-oh.
By Bluntness.
Are the feds
So-
encroaching on a state cannabis program? 11 defendants have pleaded not guilty Thursday in a federal case out of Maine, which the whole United States cannabis industry is watching. Among the defendants is Lucas Rios, a former cannabis caregiver, has been accused of spearheading an illicit sale of more than 13 million of cannabis in over 6 years.
Among those,
Crazy.
oh wait, you already read that one. The not guilty plea comes 16 months after the feds initially disrupted Sirius Farmington-based operation, took property, cash, computers, vehicles, even Sirius's right to use medical cannabis while he has to wait for it to see his fate. This is ridiculous, dude. You know,
That's
in
right.
a legal, because he's legal state, right?
Oh, he had a license. He had a license when he was operating, and then the Department of Justice said that it had money, despite the Robacher-Farr amendment, to go in there and take all of his plants and all of his assets, and then the state of Maine gave him back his license. You know, it's crazy.
It's so crazy how overreaching these people can be. Just like in Washington, that destroyed 3 millions in you know what they deemed to be bad. Like, you're in a system for a reason. Like, destroying the product, incarcerating people, taking away your life. This is why we do what we do to try to end prohibition. This is ridiculous as far as being a blip on someone's life, you know,
Yep.
for you
And
know,
not only that, like, you know, this facts, this his attorney is citing the facts of the case strongly demonstrate the client was acting in compliance with Maine's laws and therefore cannot be prosecuted. If you're acting in compliance with your state's cannabis laws, there is no money for the federal government to prosecute you. And then what do? They try to bring a different charge. They try to bring a bribery charge or some type of racketeering or corruption or conspiracy, something that's going to allow that prosecutor funds from the federal government to be able to investigate and bust state licensed plant touching license holders.
I wonder, is Maine such a bad, like, again, when Lance Glore got arrested, we were a medical state. He was a law-abiding medical provider. He had
it was before
everything.
It was 2011 for those guys that are watching at home. Wasn't it 10 years ago now, 2011, when he was popped because the Robacher-Farr amendment, that prohibition on the raids or the prohibition on spending money, federal money to interfere with state compliant cannabis, that has been in the budget since about 2014-15. And I think Lance Glore and then the other busts and other raids that were going on, even in the Obama administration, those stopped when they changed this. And there's case law that now says that you're not allowed to do it. And so what do they say? Oh, there's a conspiracy going on here. There's some bribes. There has to be.
Yeah, well, what was shit too was like, I mean, again, this is like they're stretching whatever little bit of convenient truth there is that they're pulling this from. Because when Lance, like, when he went to get prosecution, because Lance took off, you know, he got raided. You know, of course, what are you going to do? I don't want to be detained. I don't. You had a kid. You had everything. You had a life. And so when he finally got prosecuted in, what was it, 2016? They tried to use the Robacher to say, hey, they're like, no, the raids happened in 2011. So the 2014 amendment doesn't apply to you, which is bullshit. Because I think as a citizen, you know, everything should be a tool, but like they time framed his crime And that's kind of crazy
Well,
how
it
they just
sounds
said,
kind of like it kind of sounds how his lawyer, Luke's lawyer, Pasta, continues. He's not the Wall Street guy. He's not the Ivy League suit, Brooks Brothers wearing CEO type. He's the guy who found his chance at the plan he understood. And when it became legal, he seized his opportunity to pull himself up and brought his family up. And that's what the federal government wants to attack. They're going after blue collar people. They're going after the little guy because they can.
Yeah.
And so Lance Glore wasn't the son of a lawyer he wasn't the son of the state senator. He was just a regular guy doing his thing, compliant with the state, pursuant
Yep.
to the license. And
he got prosecuted.
Yep.
But no, he got prosecuted for being successful. That's kind of what's happening here, right? Like
Yep.
they see someone who, for not on by their fault, like there is no banking, there is no tax structure, there is
some
none
of the
this.
cases that I've read this complaint, and some of the things that the feds are bringing is like, you were influencing and bribing the local government and getting the laws changed. No shit. No, not in the bribes or anything but many people that are in the industry, they advocate for legislative change. And so now they're trying to use your First Amendment rights, your rights to advocate for legislative change. And then once those laws have been changed and you were the ones fighting to change them, of course you're going to try to get a license. You were passionate about this project. And then that's where they're trying to say they have money to now prosecute. It's
and of course you want to pay taxes, and of course you want to pay whatever licensing fees are out there because you don't want to go to jail. Like there's a lot of people out there, a lot of people who are successful, like with cannabis. There are wealthy cannabis people who started a farm like this gentleman or Lance. And then at one point they had an opportunity to take all the money they fucking earned, all this money, and put it towards something that's legit, right? And then now they're this extra personality, whatever that exists, but we don't ask about where that money came from now because you're invested into a proper thing. Like there's a lot of people surviving. People paid houses or whatnot because they just happened to invest in the right thing when they were good at this. Like it's just he's being prosecuted for being good at cannabis. Like this is ridiculous,
right? And then that's really the crux of his lawyers' arguments. In multi-state billion-dollar marijuana business, the Kittery, Maine. This is the same state, Maine. Kittery, Maine, 3 retail licenses. 3. One guy applied 350 times and he won 2 out of 3 of them. There's 750 applications. He applied 50% of the time. And so, do you want access to a license, or if you get access to a license and then law enforcement doesn't like you, are they able to take all your shit still? I mean, why is it so hard to have? Is all business crooked and rigged? Is all business crooked and rigged, or is it only this industry?
Just cannabis,
right? Sure. And other amazing, terrible news.
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah. It's terrible, but let's go to the $2 billion in ganja found and destroyed. Suspects escaped from cops, according to the Newsroom. 2 men managed to escape from police in an engine boat after they were found on a massive marijuana farm at Mariana Henrietta Village in the Berbice River on Wednesday. So police headquarters reported $2.02 billion worth of cannabis plants and seeds, and they were found on a farm and they were destroyed. Police said, and of course you can trust them, they found a total of 500,000 cannabis plants ranging from 1 to 8 feet. And additionally, 2,000 pounds of dried cannabis, 100 pounds of seeds, and 4 nurseries were also destroyed. Police headquarters reported, and they said that the illegal drugs were found on 40 acres of land. 6 camps suspected to be living quarters were also discovered and later destroyed. So where is this again? Because I'm not sure where Mariana Henrietta Village is.
Near French Guiana.
Near French Guiana.
Near French Guiana. I had to look that up.
Very good. Well, I highly doubt it was $2 billion worth of cannabis, especially considering that 2,000 pounds.
It looked like prickweed.
Well, no, let's assume that, because right now it's after Croptober. So if we're talking outdoor prices, let's just say it's $700. And remember, this is for 18 plus. You've come here because you may have a cannabis license and you like learning about your industry. And so let's say that you had wholesale that for $700 a pound. So 2,000 times 700. Yeah, that's only 1.4 million. So they only overstated how much it was worth by billions of dollars. Yeah.
Well, maybe it was like 2 billion won, even though it was in South America. Maybe it was 2 billion won.
Perhaps. Maybe it was $2 billion worth of Guianan dollars.
That's what I'm talking about, buddy. Hey, check this one out too. In India, they're on a rampage against the
Well, let's
ganja
do
again
a let's
too.
do a. Have we
Hopefully,
done a bumper on? This has been an international news day.
well,
Hopefully, we use an international news bumper
yes.
sometime during this broadcast.
Hold on, let me see if I got you. We get the. Look at these tough guys. How they defend. Like all the hazmat suits they got on. Look at how they're afraid of that plant.
Yeah.
Well, they aren't terrified of that plant at all, are they?
I mean, it's just like, and this happened like last week. Like
What?
it looks like this destroying of this crop right here, and it's probably a wild field in India. So India right now, they've been going against the plant
just
a
looked
lot.
like one of the worst coordinated harvests I have ever seen. Because those plants, they had some buds on them, and so I have no idea how mature they are. They're just chopping them
awesome.
down, you know. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's a meme, dude. The worst harvest ever.
Ever seen, yeah.
Dude. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah, dude.
Let me just check one more thing. We can do one more story that'll pull, and then we'll wrap it up. Missouri cannabis workers have begun to unionize.
Right on.
I know, right? Jefferson City, Missouri is reporting that Missouri's growing medical marijuana industry, and we just closed out Cannabis Legalization News' last trade show of the tour this year in Missouri. Shout out to them and the cannabis. No, they call them the emerging industry professionals now. That was a great one. Met a lot of cool people, but Missouri actually has a fairly robust program. They have almost 200 dispensaries already, and they have 60 cultivators and processors already. And that's just a medical program, and it's growing fairly quickly. With that type of scale, though, you're going to see, and I saw them there, the UCFW was at the booth. So they had their own booth at the trade show as well.
Yes.
The unionization of cannabis workers is coming. But the spokesman for Local 655, the United Food and Commercial Workers, said that they've heard from workers in the legal cannabis industry that were interested in joining unions, and they have a few active campaigns going now. So what do you think about organized labor in the workforce, Miggy?
Bro? You know what I'm saying? Any prohibition, legalization is about both the entitlement to us as citizens can consume, for our wellness or whatever. Don't tell me what to do in my off time. But also, the workers in that industry are entitled to, fair wages, health benefits, time off if possible. These fundamental things that America is supposed to be about.
Yeah. So the UCFW, the UFCW is what it is. On its website, it says it represents tens of thousands of workers across the cannabis industry, working in labs, grow facilities, and dispensaries. And they're helping those workers secure better wages and protection from unfair discipline and have great benefits with a union contract. The majority of their work so far has been in the St. Louis area, but they're trying to get outside of it, Reichsman said.
UFCW or UFC, I'm not seeing it, but they're one of the older unions, just like the one that just the John Deere strike. Did you hear about that?
Mm-hmm. Yep. They went back to work. They got a 10% raise.
Yeah. So unions matter. Unions matter for if
they
people
negotiated a 10% raise. How much luck do you think one of them would have had saying like, "Hey, boss, next year 10% more"? Come on,
not just 10%, but 3 times they went back to the drawing board. I mean,
wow.
It's them sticking together, and that's where that's where we had the GTI workers on here, how they should be unionizing. There's people out there proactively against them and fighting against them. So.
Yeah, the John Oliver show, if you guys haven't checked that one out, check it out. He just did one on organized labor and unionizing last week, I want to say. It was fascinating to see the lengths that large companies will go to try to avoid a union. I know that like our company, we haven't avoided a union. We don't have any employees. But one of the things... but we set up the cannabis operation to have a profits interest to go to the employees. And you have to have a plan for how you're going to treat your employees. And so we have a profits interest for them. So there's some profit sharing, and that'll fund their 401ks and benefits. And, you got to treat your people on your team good.
That's the thing, man. Like I never understood why. So I used to work in a mall, dude. I've been working since I was 11. And one of the jobs I had is I worked in a mall. I see like the security guards that got like $12 an hour or whatever. I mean, just shit wage. And then this is the guy protecting the jewelry store.
Right.
Like we're gonna pay people low wages with a baton and a walkie-talkie. Like everybody's all worried about like the police and defunding and shit, and it's spooky outside. Antifa's gonna get me. BLM's like all over the place. Like these, I'm not worried about that stuff. I'm not, that's some dumb shit. I'm more worried about the hillbilly who thinks that 9/11 was an inside job and January 6th was a vacation. There's a lot of like 5Gs telling you to do things. Like there's a lot of other shit to worry about.
Those stupid people, though, they aren't like, that's the nice thing that I think about stupid people. Once I realize they're stupid, I'm like, oh, provided they aren't violent, they aren't a thret to me.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. And then you just avoid them. But they are out there. And then I usually spend a lot of time working on fairly complex projects and like, websites and cannabis applications and corporate financial models and shit. So they just don't hang out in those places. They'd be terrible at coding. I mean, just terrible.
They would be. But like the worst part about stupid people is though, they're all entitled to a driver's license just like you.
And above.
Like they're out there, man.
They are a human being and they deserve respect until you find out
vote
if they're terrible. And then you're like, all right, I'm not going to respect this person. I'm leaving. But it's different. It's different. And so there wasn't all that much cannabis legalization news going on. But this is our episode going into the Thanksgiving holiday. So I'm assuming that probably be spacing on Wednesday, but we'll see what happens Wednesday.
We need before.
What's that?
We need a remember Laverne Shirley. This was filmed before a live studio audience, and then we're not live. I love when I see the live chat and like, are these guys live today or not?
No, this was presented to a live chatting audience. It was recorded, but the chat was live, and hopefully it was pretty lively. I mean, sometimes our chat, they're like, man, you need moderators. I'm like, no, the people just need to stop being such little bitches. Just, why are you guys?
Yeah.
And now chat weird like, oh, fuck you, Tom. God damn it. I hate this. Why am I even watching 48 minutes of this crap? And then it would be like, because it's fun. That's why. That's why you're watching.
I love the ones I just unsubbed because Mickey's views on the liberal agenda are bullshit. I don't know, man. Like, no, it's not. I'm not R&D, mother dumb effer. I'm an American. Yep. Like that's how it works. And then we just want the best and get progress and go forward. It's not a hard thing.
That's right. We're just hardworking men and women, and so we have a great new launch for a product that we worked real hard on for the past 2 years. And it's going to be the best value in cannabis. The webinar that we're doing on Monday, that sold out in like 5 minutes.
Nice.
And so like next week or month, whenever we get our next one, hopefully people will be able to get in again, but we're going to put it on demand and we're going to tell people about it. And then people are going to go to get their cannabis applications to it. It's going to be really fun. So like I'm looking forward to that product being launched finally. I modeled its pricing off of Green Rush, and then Green Rush raised its prices, and I'm like, oh man, I got to raise the prices to that now. That is awesome. Thank you, Green Rush.
But still, congrats to you. You got winners, and then you proven that you can get there, and good luck to your future clients.
Oh man, they're gonna do well. And then I helped a lot with some capital raises for social equity members that need help with capital raises. And for New Jersey, it's so pretty how they're doing it relative to Illinois and New Jersey. Like they are not going to have their social equity members hornswoggled out of their fair market value of what they got.
Right on. I mean, you're on it. That's the whole reason why they pay you, dude. Like there's so much news out there. A lot of it's depressing as F. I've been doing this for more than fucking my life, unfortunately. And it's just been like, that's why with the Facebook page and the jokes and shit, it makes it better for me. And I see like there's good people out there. There are decent human beings, and it's not all bleak.
There are, but then the problem really is, you can't spread that message. As soon as you start spreading that message, is gone. I mean, so like I have no idea if we retitle. I don't think we can retitle our Facebook page that like marijuana prohibition's unconstitutional.
No, we can't.
And again, it's been at 300,000 for like 8 years. It cannot get any larger. And then Marijuana Moment has grown slowly, and so like they just haven't flagged them. I guess I have no idea, but
that's funny though. You're right. Good on them though for not getting flagged. But it's a weird. This is what is weird about prohibition. It enables this weird acting with the social media, the algorithms, and
Well, it's kind of
protecting
reminds me
us.
of China. This is you're not. Yeah, there's the
Mm,
algorithms. They serve you the reality. They will tell you what you get.
yeah.
As opposed to what's actually out there. You can never. And so I thought it was easier to control people back in the 30s. I bet it's easier to control people in China today because you've ranked them all, and then you can control what they see and where they can go. It has to be so much easier to control those people, and then they believe that's where they're supposed to be.
And we're being controlled, as Americans with the shadow ban of like cannabis, marijuana, weed. I've just said all the wrong words, like you and I've just shot the shit for an hour, and non-threat to society. But this will be flagged. It'll be demonetized. It'll be every wrong thing you can do with two guys just hanging out. Like that was it. That would the most non-invasive, non-violent,
Right.
I mean, this is like a much ado about nothing, but yet we're paying for just breathing pretty much.
And that's why the Google search algorithm has been very, very kind to me because nothing else could. You couldn't go by ads. Like now we do have an ad that goes, but I had to try it like 7 times to get it through Google. And so it's a very innocuous ad. It goes like dispensary application. So it doesn't say cannabis. But then most people aren't looking for like a gun dispensary application, or like, hey, do you guys have any ketchup dispensary applications? No, that makes no sense, bro. And
It's
so
shitty. You shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to.
Right, but then you drop that word off, and suddenly it gets through the thing, and then somebody searches it, and so, but it's good. I mean, you should run some ads because Google has smart, and then they figure out what types of people to send you, and so like somebody just booked a qualified call, and they have a $1 million budget, and they want a dispo in NYC, and I'm like, yeah, that'll probably get you a little bit there. I mean, we can figure this out. We can figure this out for that.
What's funny here too is you think about it, dude. Like the social media is they've been protecting ourselves from protecting ourselves, us from ourselves, bullshit. But also, it's still tinged off the prohibition from the government, right? Like, the way, give me how many things that people know about like that are weed related, like high times. Everybody knows high times, right? Like,
I think
even non-smokers know high times for the most part.
I'd hope.
I would think like it's just culture wise, like. And as a culture, we're automatically suppressed for a plant. Like it's not just you and me, it's just
it's because of the scheduling. It's because of the federal law. If we can get that federal law changed, and some people are like, oh, we have to do it all at once. I don't know about that. I mean, like they banned them all at once, and that's why marijuana was included in the Controlled Substances Act. And so, if they would have actually passed the Controlled Substances Act and then had Schedule F, because you have to remember this from history, and people don't remember history. They just grandstand, and then they're like, "Did you see me out there? It was me." But anyway, and so what they did is they just put cannabis right alongside heroin and all these other really dangerous drugs in Schedule 1. To pass it, to have it done, and then they commission the study, as opposed to doing the opposite of that, saying like, well, why don't we commission the study, and then if it comes back, we'll Schedule 1 it. Why didn't they do that?
They were able to set this criteria, CSA, here's a 1, 2, 3, backbone with legit words like these are things that are going to be addictive. Like we all understand that. Like you
can watch Dope Sick, and you can see like Dope Sick. It's like, wow, that's addictive. That's spooky crap, right there. That don't do that stuff,
But like we see it every day, every for years, forever, right? Like in 1930s, 20s, there was the opium epidemic with like China,
And so that's the modern opioid epidemic is just history repeating itself because people don't learn. People don't learn from history. And,
part of it's the ignorance that we've enabled because if cannabis was been taught like, hey, drug's a drug, caffeine, cannabis, whatever it is, it's how we interface with our world and day to day, right? Like, and how we view the world. Like, part of paranoia when you smoke a little bit in the city, at least when I remember as a kid, like when it was like illegal, was like the hyper, like everybody knows I'm high. Like everybody knows I'm high. This is fucking bad. And this is horrible. I'm a horrible person for being stoned, even though I'm just sitting in the park. Like, You know, like to think like that self-deprecating type stuff. If I'm like, I'm in a bad position because I did something that's illegal, even though I was not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like we got to undo that. We have to figure out how to look at the world. I think. I don't know. Teach each other.
That's it. That's what we got to do. I'm gonna leave you with wisdom from Mickey. So let's roll up this one, and then we'll get out of here, and we'll be on the next time Cannabis Legalization News is live.